Hi, welcome, Mark Renshaw here, and we're going to analyse stage 13 of the 2021 Tour de France, and of course it is Mark Cavendish's 34th victory in the Tour de France. A few other numbers to look at is that it's his 13th participation in the Tour de France. It's exactly 13 years after he first won in the Tour de France, and this is the 13th stage, so I'd say 13 was pretty lucky for Mark Cavendish today. And of course with that 34th victory he does equal Eddy Merckx's record of 34, and that's 46 years after that happened. So we're going to pick up the racing from 1 kilometre to go because too much happens in this kilometre to look at the previous kilometre. So we're slowly going to go through the last K, see if we can touch on all the things that happened, good and bad, and the scenarios that could have played out in the split seconds decisions. So as we pick it up, we do have Deceuninck Quickstep on the front with 3 riders, Askren, Ballerini, Morku and Cavendish. So they've rounded this second last bend, 90-degree right hand turn to the right under the 1 kilometre banner. You can look that the road is slightly going uphill because the speed's not super high in my opinion to what the normal Tour de France sprints are, but we are stage 13, so we're a couple of weeks into the tour, so there would be a lot of sore legs. If we unpause it there, we can see that Askren has really put it on a pretty high level. He's out of the seat, just dancing on the pedals. All's pretty calm now. Everyone's lined up behind their sprinters. No one's really able to move after that right hand corner. So if we just let it play out, we can see all the other sprinters coming. We'll just keep an eye on these guys here, the DSM. So they're going to make a big move soon. And they're going to come with speed, and it could have played out very differently if we saw some different scenarios. So Askren's just waiting. You can see that they're all waiting because they all start looking over their shoulders. They've put it in the left-hand barrier, hard up against the barrier, so you know you don't want this guy here, this EF Education, coming underneath you. Jasper Philipsen, Alperson, you know, they're waiting in the wheels there, just waiting to see what can happen, if it's going to open up. All looking over their shoulders, but you know, as we start to get ready, here they come. DSM with Eckhoff and Bol. Now look, they really come with great speed, and if they would have rode a little bit different, it would have completely changed the outlook of this stage. Because what happens is they do come with speed, and once we see them come around this point here, if they would have went right to the left barrier, it would have completely closed in Deceuninck Quickstep on the barrier with nowhere to go. So that big wave could have derailed their whole stage in one whole move. And I think that's because Askren was just on the front a little bit too long and a little bit too flat-footed, and he wasn't able to come with speed. So after the right-hand turn, these guys have started to move up. They've come with momentum, and they've come straight around Deceuninck Quickstep. And honestly, it was Eckhoff who had the much better day than Bol, because we'll see later on that once Eckhoff swings off, Bol just stays in the wheels and he can't really move. So here we are, we come around this left-hand corner. So right at this point it shows a little bit of inexperience. You can see how wide the road is. Eckhoff's put it basically in the middle of the road to the right-hand side. If he would have went completely to the left barrier, this whole wave would have come across the top of Quickstep, and honestly there's no chance to move because they're just 500 metres from the finish line. 53 kilometres an hour, so it's, you know, not silly high speeds for 500 to go. Pretty well a lower speed sprint. If we let it roll out, so this is the moment. We can see Mahoric with Sonny Colbrelli. If these guys would have put it to the left barrier, it would have completely changed the whole race, but instead they showed you know, not too much experience, and they kept it in the middle of the road. Of course you can move both sides from him. Ballerini senses this, he knows that this is the moment he has to go. They're inside 500 metres to go, and Cavendish has lost the wheel of Morku. So you can see that I think it's Michael Matthews that's got between them. So he's going to have to do an acceleration to get back on that wheel of Morku. And then we've got Sonny Colbrelli and Nasser Guhani behind him. We've still got Eckhoff, he's looking around, waving the elbow, but he's still really strong on a stage like this. So, Morkov, I don't know why they actually did this tactic. I can't really think, because inside 4:50 to go, Morkov would have had the legs to take it all the way to the finish line. But instead, he lets Ballerini jump. Now what that does, that brings Eckhoff back in. He knows he's got to close it because Matthews is not going to start 4:50 out. Sonny Corbrelli's looking for a wheel, and they've still got Boll in the wheel. So Eckhoff commits, and it's just biding a bit of time for Michael Morku. Cavendish is about to make his move up onto the wheel of Morku, and you've got the Jasper Philipsen here, who's just trying to follow Cav. If we just let that play on for a moment. Cav makes his move underneath Matthews, back onto the wheel of Morku. And here we are. Boll's trying to find a wheel, so he's just going to get shuffled back because nobody's going to let him in, especially not Michael Matthews, who's chasing points for the green jersey. Ballerini jumps super fast, so from about 450 metres to go. So that was a really good move, but I still don't know what that tactic was and why they did it. So Eckhoff commits, he's running out of legs. At that exact moment, Garcia Cortina senses that this is maybe the moment to jump. If he can get across to Ballerini, he could maybe use his slipstream and go all the way to the finish line. He lets him jump, great speed from Cortina. Morku senses this is the moment you got to go. Eckhoff's looking over his shoulder, and they're all just fighting for the wheels now. Great jump, slight left-hand corner. They've all gone to the left-hand barrier. Just in the overhead, we did see that Philipsen goes up the inside and straight onto the wheel of Cavendish. Around the bend, Cortina's still got the legs to get out of the seat. Morku's just in the seat, just waiting, because he knows he can just lay off one length, and with that little bit of speed he's going to be able to come at him. I'd love to know what front chainring Morku's got on. When I was racing I had a 54. It wouldn't surprise me if he's running 55 or bigger, because he had that much speed. It looked like his cadence was lower than Cavendish, who's he's going to sprint at a bit higher cadence. So looking back, he doesn't get out of the seat. Cavendish is already lining it up. Philipsen's already committed because he got caught sprinting late the other day, getting boxed in. He doesn't want to make the same mistake. If we let it play out, Morku's still in the seat. Cavendish is laid off also. So what we saw was Morku laying off Cortina, Cavendish laying off Morku, and Philipsen committing early. Philipsen hits the wind, doesn't really increase his speed. Cavendish times it perfect. He comes across the slipstream of Morku, out of the seat, probably a little bit higher gear than Morku. That's the reason why Morku's stuck in the seat. But he showed great power in the seat. Cavendish knows he's got it here because you can see that he's coming with speed over the top of Cortina, and Philipsen hasn't really increased his speed as he's in the wheel. Morkov, at this point he's maybe thinking, shit, I can win this. But Cavendish is about to come straight over the top of him. With not too much to spare, they all throw for the line. Cavendish realises he's beaten Eddy Merckx's record. The amount of pressure that he would have had on him today would have been phenomenal. And it's a 1-2 victory for De Koning Quickstep. So looking back over that final kilometre, there's a lot of points that could have all went wrong, and very bizarre tactic. Morku letting Ballerini drop the wheel because he showed in the previous stages he can do more than 1 kilometre pull in the final. So it was a little bit risky, but one thing I always said in leading out, if you've got the power, you can always get out of a bad situation, and Morku had the power. He pretty much sprinted to the line in the seat, and it was only Cavendish who could pass him. So amazing. We see Cav flick his chain off again. A lot of people asking why. That's because when he throws for the line, he flicks back with the cranks, and the wheel's going so quick, flicks the chain off. So that comes off the bike. Morku runs second. So for the second time in this year's Tour de France, a 1-2 finish for a team. So only the third time since we finished 1-2 on the Champs-Élysées, Cav and I. And that's the record equalled with Eddy Merckx. So 2 more opportunities for me, looking forward, 19 and 21. Look, how good is the Champs-Élysées going to be if Cav's able to go one ahead of Eddy Merckx on the final stage in Paris this year? So I'm really looking forward to that. Had a lot of people asking me to do some reviews of some older stages from HTC, some stage finishes. Look, why not? I'll probably look at doing that in the near future. And once again, leave some comments. Let me know what you think, what I could do better, and if you enjoy it or not. Thanks for listening again, and good luck to Cav. I hope he makes it to Paris, because I really want to review that sprint final in the Champs-Élysées.